We can huddle together for warmth.
We're
Back to
not.
sharing.
We're not going to huddle together. I was complaining about how cold it was, and Tess was like, just like, yeah, but isn't this a better thing to complain about than it being 95 degrees and you're pouring sweat the whole time?
Yes, it is.
Said, you're darn right. You're darn right. So, anyway, first episode back from Thanksgiving. Welcome back, everybody. Alex, tell the folks, how was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving started off tremendously. Fam joined the Milanas, fried a turkey, talked to some lovely neighbors of theirs and their British friends, got them Americanized. What better way to do that than frying something in a big old tub of grease or oil? And had a nice Thanksgiving with the family. Ate just a little too much, not too much, but a little too much. If you say anything different than that, I don't trust you. And yeah, very blessed. Got about 5 pounds to get off, but that's all right. How about you? How was the rest of the day?
We had a good one. I think my turkey was messed up a little. We'll talk about that later. I'm not going to shout out my dad or anything, but maybe our turkey got messed up. But anyway, the 5 to 10 pound gain from the trip that I was on with my sports teams, and then Thanksgiving, I'm struggling. So Alex and I hit a 9-mile run that Saturday of Iron Bowl that I'm still not over. But ever since then, it's just like I can't get myself to get up and do anything after work. So it is what it is. But super excited to be back. It's freezing cold, but we're gonna rock right through it.
It's funny you mentioned that run. I just have to say, about 2 miles in, I was like, okay, I'm warm enough. This is fine. Realize, y'all, when we started running at 5:30 in the morning, and it was 35, feels like 26. My lips are still recovering from that run. They got absolutely shredded by that run. Just applying chapstick like 10 times a day, man. Brutal.
You should be ashamed of your preparation for that run. You had no gloves. You barely had a hat. Like, you may as well have just gone out in shorts and a t-shirt. I was locked down like I was back in New Jersey just with the wind at the beach. But anyway, guys, we're super excited. We have an awesome guest lined up. And I'm going to hand this over to Alex and let him introduce our guest before we do some background and maybe even some judgmental first impressions.
Beautiful. Good to be back with you all, folks. Tonight, we have a fellow parishioner and good friend, Mr. Charlie Wilder. Charlie, to me, this isn't first impression, we'll get to that, but Charlie, to me, is the man whose family either sits right in front of us or right behind us, and who is just a little farther along in parenthood than me. Been at it a little bit longer, a few years, but we're still in the same stage in a few ways. And he's the one who looks back at me and says, hey, man, we made it again. I'm like,
every Sunday.
I say, brother, I appreciate you. I really do. He's the one who's like, hey, you're doing a good job. You're where you need to be. I'm like, man, I appreciate you. So, Charlie, I do really appreciate you. We've got a lot to talk about. Charlie's got some, I think, exciting stuff for our parish to talk about, but also some things that certainly anybody listening can very much relate to, take to heart, and what we're hoping really discern about putting into practice in their own home. So, Charlie, let's just start with a little bit of who are you, where you're from, cradle Catholic convert, what's your childhood like, house you grew up in, and kind of sort of faith journey a little bit. Take the time you need.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for having me. It's good to be here. So I'm a cradle Catholic, and I mean, there's never really been a time in my life when I like walked away from the church, but definitely when I got to college, I was like, you know what, it's time to be Catholic. Like, it's time to figure out what it means to be Catholic, and that was really the beginning of, I would say, the beginning of my faith journey. Although, you know, my parents got me through the sacraments, you know, baptism, first reconciliation, confirmation, all the things. So yeah, went to college, and there kind of just I don't know, felt a call to to grow deeper in my faith, learn more about it. And the more, I don't know, the more I learn, the more I grow. It seems like the more I learn that I have so much further to go, you know. Um, I met Carmen, my wife, during college. Met her freshman year. We met at we were in the choir together at the church
Oh, wow.
at
Okay.
St. Joseph's in Starkville, Mississippi. We were at Mississippi State. And so we started dating, I think sophomore or junior year of college. Um, and, and went on to graduate school at Mississippi State and got married after our master's degrees, and were there for a while. We were there for a total of 18 years. We had, uh, three or four kids, in Starkville, and then, came to, Auburn in 2019, and, we had two more kids. Uh, yes, we had two more kids in Auburn. Carmen's gonna watch this later and be like, "What is that fool talking about?" He knows these things.
It's not a podcast episode if one of our wives doesn't give you the like, what were you just saying?
Yeah.
No worries about that.
Yeah. So we had four boys. Yes. No. Yes, we had three. I can't even do math. I don't know what's in this beer. We had three boys, and we decided that we could try for one more, and maybe we would get a girl. And we got two more boys.
That's truly God's work right there.
I'm not gonna take too much of my first impression away, but yeah, like the parade of Wilder boys walking into mass is just a beautiful sight every single Sunday.
Yeah, thank you. And our house is a violent place, can be at times. I mean, just you want to talk about a very boy environment. I don't know how my wife survives, but she does. Thanks be to God. So, yeah. That's a little bit about me.
What do you do, Troy? You know, I'm asking.
I'm a data analyst. I work in a nerd lab
Sick.
at Auburn University, War Eagle, and I love my job. I have not been an analyst for my whole career. I worked in university career services for a long time and helped students find jobs and internships and that kind of thing. And I've have since then found my, I guess, professional calling as a nerd, and I crunch numbers most of the day. I don't really talk to many people, and I love it.
You said you got your undergrad and master's at Starkville, Mississippi State.
Yeah, Mississippi.
What were you studying, and then what eventually was it that job that you currently hold that brought you to Auburn?
Yeah, so I was looking for the next step, and that's how I got to Auburn. But I studied counseling in my master's program. I did college counseling. So, and I worked as a mental health counselor for a few years before working in the University Career Center there, and then that led to taking a position at Auburn. And I came here to direct the co-op program, cooperative education. Mm-hmm. It's a great program where students work for 3 semesters, but they alternate with school semesters. It's popular for engineering students,
okay,
and building science students, and so yeah,
bunch of nerds.
Yeah, you nurses are not nerds at all when you're studying for all that stuff. PE teachers, baby, jocks.
Idiots. Oh, love it. Well, we're glad you found Auburn, my friend. Just in time in 2019, turns into 2020. We all know what happened there. And right. Yep, similar story here for sure. Okay. All right. Let's get to it. First impressions. I'll be honest, Charlie. I can't say I remember the exact first time we really met or laid eyes on each other or anything like that or spoke. So that's a bit underwhelming, I know. But this is what I'll say. The first time I feel like I was really around you, I was thinking to myself, I can't tell if this guy is maybe just worried about something or if he might be in pain in some kind of way.
Could be both.
It could be both. So maybe a little just distressed. And maybe that's what your violent household does to you on the day-to-day potentially. But that was kind of my first 2 cents thoughts right there. I will say though, Charlie did St. Michael's Lent with us this past St. Michael's Lent,
Tried it.
and we all try to do it. We don't do it. That's fair, myself included. But most of the meetings for the same four of us, me, you, Michael, and Dan, and I just thoroughly enjoyed doing that with you guys, getting to know you and Dan especially better. I knew Michael pretty well at that time, but of course him too. But I really, really appreciate, and I think you folks will see this and hear this so much on this episode. Charlie, obviously, is a very introspective person. He is crunching the numbers at work, but he's also crunching the numbers in the home and with his faith. And I don't mean that in just like a zeros and ones way. I mean that in a very like intrinsic, spiritual, personal way with the Lord. And I really appreciate that about him and his insights for sure. So that's what I've got, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, to anybody listening, Charlie and I have not had the opportunity to get to know each other super well, so I'm very much have been looking forward to this episode for a few weeks now. And again, I'm very appreciative that you're here. Anybody that goes to 7:45 Mass at St. Michael's, I believe you go enough Sundays, and then you just start to recognize the faces around you. And so it didn't take too much time for me to recognize you, Carmen, and the boys, especially when they're up there altar serving and things like that. You guys, my first impression of your family was almost in awe. Like, how do you have your crap together? Like, even if sometimes you're a duck on a pond and the feet are going under the water, you guys are always just a very calm and reverent family at church. So very much kudos to you guys and to your wife as well. But my first impression was honestly just impressed. I was out, and kind of in a role model sort of way of like, someday I want to have 5 kids and I want to have them all up in the church, and I want them altar serving and to understand the importance and the reverence and the beauty that is happening before them every day, every Sunday for sure. And I see that in you and Carmen, even from afar, without getting to know you guys. So hopefully this crazy podcast can be the start of a good friendship between our families. So
yeah,
that was my first impression. I really like a first impression where I can be like, I thought you were an a-hole, but nope, none of that here.
Not today, Ryan Milana. All right. Do you have anything for us?
Sure.
All right.
I'll give you first impressions. Alex, I think I can't remember an exact moment, but I'll say that, every time you see Alex, he's hugging somebody. Like Alex is the guy, like everybody knows him and he's giving everybody a hug. And at first I was a little sad because you weren't giving me hugs. And I was like, man, I feel like I should know this guy, but he doesn't know me. So he's not going to give me a hug. Oh, he knows that guy. Oh, he knows that guy. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? I've got to get in the N club. I need a hug from Alex Birch. Yeah, no, but like your charity, your love for other people just comes out of your personality and the way you treat others. And I think you make other people feel welcomed, just being who you are. I think that's huge.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I gave you a hug when we got out of the car today, so many, many more to come.
Well, I know that if I see Alex, I'm going to have to give him a hug.
Yeah, once they start, they just never stop. So you signed up for life.
Like if you watch the movie and like, they're mean to the little nice kid and he's in like in the corner, it's, if you don't let me hug you, that's me. I'm the little kid in the corner now. No, not really, but maybe just a little bit.
And
I'm terrible.
Ryan, I think this may be like the second time I've shaken your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So we, like you said, we don't really know each other that well, but I was probably, my first impression was just intimidated because you're very fit and you look like you take life seriously, and so, and I see you or see people like yourself, I automatically like size myself up and I'm like, oh man, that guy's in better shape than I am.
Interesting. I do the same thing. I do the same thing. I thought the same thing. I was like, in a similar way, I was a little intimidated just by, your stature, your poise, your station in life, but no, I'm not in that great shape. I just run every now and then. I pretend like I'm fast, and then Alex texts me and he's like, yeah, I ran 5 miles in 32 minutes the other day. I'm like, you can kiss my rear end because I'm not going that fast, but
That's pretty good.
On my best day, but not.
you keep going fast for the shorties. I'll beat you in the long ones.
True, man. That
There you
is
go.
literally what happens. Yes, that's stride. I think you guys just became best friends. I'm so excited. All right.
Look, well, I gotta say this, and y'all can edit this out if you want, but the Bowflex dumbbells. You know about the Bowflex dumbbells?
You can like adjust.
Yeah, the
Oh, yeah,
adjustable.
yeah, absolutely.
There was a recall, right, for like years of this product, right? And but it happened after Bowflex. All right, so what Bowflex went bankrupt and then was bought out by another company, Johnson Health. I feel like I'm advertising for Bowflex right now.
Go away. I'm excited.
And then they figured out they needed to have a recall on all these dumbbells. So Johnson Health recalls all the dumbbells and gives you like a prorated coupon towards some other equipment. So I did that because I had some dumbbells and I was really sad to lose them. But I got a couple of adjustable kettlebells.
Nice.
And those things have been like, they've been the best workout ever.
Really?
Like, and they give you a subscription to like their fitness app, with little workout videos, which
Yeah.
I never do.
Sure,
I'm like,
sure.
I don't need that sissy stuff. But here I am with my kettlebells in my living room doing my work, and it is tearing me up.
That's awesome.
I'm loving it.
My cousin is very, very into fitness, like one of those guys who is like puts all of us to shame, and all he does is pretty much just kettlebell workouts and like body weight exercises. Yeah, man, he's freaking ripped. So yeah, something to be said. You got a couple hanging out right over there, don't you?
Yeah, I don't get them out too often. I usually just hammer those on shoulder day. But let's be honest, when I'm coaching and doing all the holiday stuff, I'm happy to get a run in a few times a week, and that's about it. But yeah, Charlie. So the first time I actually heard from Charlie was through an email, and Charlie was explaining a new ministry that you were taking upon yourself and starting here at our parish. And regrettably, I have not been able to make the meetings. Alex, have you?
No,
Yeah, we just
Slackers.
Yes.
we slacked. Yep, we can't do it. Mondays were bad for me during football because we played on Monday nights, and now, of course, basketball is always a toss up. But I would love to hear more about how it started, where the idea came from, your discernment through that process, and kind of how it took hold and where you guys are at now.
Yeah, sure. So it started over a year ago. I have my oldest son was going to, he still goes to Edge at the church on Wednesdays. It's like the youth program for middle school. And then they have Life Team for high school students. And so they had like a parent night, which meant, bring a parent so they can kind of see how it goes and get to see what's going on. So I went and I looked around me at parent night and I saw that there were just very few dads. There were plenty of moms there. Probably about 50 to 75% of the kids had a parent there. But of that percentage, only maybe up to 20% were dads.
Okay.
So not a lot of dads there at all. And it just struck me as like weird and brought some questions to mind. And I don't know, the next day I was thinking about it some, and I don't know, maybe I had an espresso or something. I just felt like I needed to email somebody and make this observation and offer to help. Let's get the dads involved. Like,
Sure.
Let's do something. Because at the time I was doing some things at home to like, develop faith formation in my home for my children, which we can talk about in a little bit. But so I emailed Charity, who is our parish director of faith formation, and made this observation. which ultimately turned into me volunteering to start a men's Bible study for dads. Specific other men are welcome, of course, but we're focusing on dads with the purpose of like helping dads understand the message that we hear each Sunday, so they can bring it home to their wives and their children. And so that started a process. We got together a group of guys to kind of bounce some ideas around, and we looked at some of the programs like Fraternus. You may have heard of Fraternus out there, and we looked at That Man Is You. It's another it's
Mhm.
a program for guys, Catholic guys who want to develop their faith. Ultimately, we decided to just kind of do a homegrown thing, and so um, there were about 5 or 6 guys in that original group, and we emailed back and forth, and we met at least once and just hammered out some details of what the group should be, and what the purpose should be. And so we settled on a name for the group being Men on the Way. And I kind of didn't want to go with that name. I felt like it was a little cheesy, even though it was my idea. But because it's we're men on the way. What is this? Oh, we're men on the way.
Where?
Where are you going?
Where?
Right. But the reason we chose On the Way is because that year was 2023, and we were wrapping up cycle B for the readings of
Mhm.
Mass, A, B, and C. And that's the Gospel of Mark. I'm pretty sure. I hope that's right. Edit that out if I'm wrong. But in the Mark makes a big deal when he's talking about Jesus being on the way to Jerusalem, saying, and he was on the way to Jerusalem.
Okay.
And that's where the on the way comes from, because it's focused on, following Jesus on his way to Jerusalem, which is he went to Jerusalem to die, to offer his life for us. And so in that same kind of sacrificial mindset, it's like, we are men on the way.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I think that parallels well with On the Way for our families too. Being that spiritual head and also the one who is. I've made this point before, but if the boat is sinking and there are, in your case, 6 life jackets, you're the one who doesn't get one, essentially. So yeah, kind of stepping into that role. I think that's very neat. I'm glad you told us that, Charlie.
Well, it touches on what you said before of when you get into your faith. I believe you said when you were in college and you started to dedicate more time to learning. I think it's the most frequent feeling in the world for me now is every time I think I've learned a good bit and really dove into my faith. It's like, no, I have so much more that just got uncovered, and we're constantly on the way in that part of it as well. And I love the fact. So you guys go through the gospel readings leading up to Mass that Sunday?
Right. So each Monday we read the readings for the coming Sunday. So we do
Okay.
the first readings, the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Gospel. We usually don't do the Psalm just because we run out of time, and it's kind of hard to cover it all. But somebody, and they'll hopefully get a chuckle out of this when I say this, but the idea when we formed the group was that each guy would take a turn reading this. It's like a homily in a book, and I wish I would have brought it with me, but it's by Peter Kreeft, and it's
Food for the Soul.
Food for the Soul.
I've got them. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're great.
They're great. Yep.
And so that was a recommendation from Charity, and so we got a copy of those books. And I've been reading it pretty much every week.
Mhm.
So I got a shout out to our man Michael, because he's going to read it for next week because I'm out of town. But so I read the homilies and I make notes. And the Food for the Soul has been great, but honestly, this it's Ignatius Study Bible that you've got on the table. I have a copy of that, and the notes in it are just so substantial because they reference. There are lots of notes, but they reference the Catechism, and they reference the written tradition from the saints, which is just huge. I haven't encountered another Bible that has that much information in it.
You mentioned the Catechism before we started, Charlie. Tell us about that. tell us about where this plays into everything.
Yeah, I mean, the catechism, probably I read this before, and that's what stirred me up to kind of get started to for a while. I was like doing CCD, and I still am doing CCD lessons in my home.
Okay.
I call it CCDAD, CCD according to Dad.
Yes, indeed.
and I used to go real deep and like I'd reference the catechism. It was lectionary based, so it was essentially what we're doing now with Men on the Way. We'd read the readings and talk about what they mean, but I would bring in the catechism or other like church documents if I could. And I still do that with my boys. We don't go into as much detail because they get more of their catechesis from our from homeschooling. But anyway, there are some paragraphs in the catechism that deal with the duties of parents, and I just feel like these should be like, read to parents when they become parents or when they get married, or just like this is important stuff that I was never covered with me. I mean, I went to my engaged encounter retreat. I don't remember covering this. Um, and I'm not sure where else it does get covered, but it's super important because it talks about your responsibility for catechesis of your children as a parent. It doesn't say that you have to do everything, right? I mean, but it does say that family catechesis precedes, I think, accompanies and enriches other catechesis that your kids will be involved with. So, like, you have to be doing something, right? As a parent, like, you got to do something. And I think we've come to a point where Catholic parents so often will just, I don't know, we think that the church is going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And so we take our children to mass and we, make sure they receive the sacraments, and that is good. That's a good thing. But it doesn't stop there, right? You can't just check those boxes and go on. Like, your home is a domestic church. It's not just a place where you live and like you get to do anything you want and then you go to mass on Sunday. It's You're like in a church in your home. It's a domestic church. And so like, yeah, those paragraphs really stirred me up to think, man, I should, and they still stir me up when I read them. I think I need to be doing my job as a parent. I only have 18 years with each kid to, to like help their faith formation, of them in the home at least. Yeah. So those paragraphs, 22:21 to 22:31, I don't have them memorized, but they're pretty solid.
That's all of our homework is to go home and read or listen to those paragraphs in the catechism. I know for a fact that I haven't perused that part of the catechism yet. Alex and I were talking. I'm plowing through catechism in a year. I'm going back through Bible in a year and things like that. It's shocking and almost, a point of shame for me as a Catholic, though, how few people actually have visited the catechism.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even know that it was even brought up to me until my adulthood, my parenthood, and I was, a good Catholic, and Monsignor has no problem calling out people who don't take up that mantle at home and really take that job seriously. You see it sadly often, even at a beautiful parish like ours, of some people who you don't necessarily see at mass, but get the kids in the sacraments, like you said, is super important. But there's Monsignor on the podium at Christmas and Easter talking about get your butts in the pews, and it's super serious. It is. And I didn't really take it that serious until becoming a father.
Yeah, well, definitely becoming a parent stirs you up in that way. You realize you're responsible for the physical, spiritual development of someone else. Also want to point out something. If we're digging into books, to check out Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4, which is the Shema. And I'm sorry to all our Jewish brothers and sisters out there if I'm saying that wrong. But that is a prayer that devout Jews would, or maybe still do, recite 3 times a day. And it's the "Hear, O Israel, the Lord
Mm-hmm.
is your God." It's one God. There are different translations. But a little bit further down from that, it says, "And you should talk about this with your children when you're sitting around the house."
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's what it's almost what it says in our version of the Bible here. And that just strikes me. It's like, all right, here are these people living, thousands of years ago. And this was the way they lived, right? Or at least they were supposed to. This is what
Mm-hmm.
God wanted them to do. This
Mm-hmm.
is Moses telling them, you need to do this. You need to talk about the scriptures when you're sitting around in your house. And how many of us are doing that? Like, man, there's so many distractions, like television. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, eh, eh, Social media, phones, like the devil wants us to be distracted, and he's really good at
Mm-hmm.
distracting us, right? We got to work against that. Um, and so, like, this is where Men on the Way comes in, right? Trying to equip dads with some tools, right? It's okay if you don't know much about the Bible. If you're not, like, if you didn't have outstanding catechesis, that's all right. Like, let's start somewhere. Let's start learning what's in the Bible and how it applies to our lives, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about our experiences as parents and the struggles we go to. I mean, it's hard to be a Catholic parent in this day and time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially as your kids get older, there's so many influences out there that they're going to face as they go out into the world. I mean, we have, like, limited that a good bit with homeschool, but like, if your kids are going out to any school, like, they're going to face some challenges. And, like, my kids too, someday we've delayed it, but they will go out at some point, and, like,
Mm-hmm.
are they going to be ready? You know, well, whose job is that?
I gotcha.
You know?
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of piggyback a little bit, and then swerve to somewhere where I think we can all really um speak a lot about. But you talk about distractions in the house. Very much agree. It is amazing watching how drawn they are to the phone in our hand, or how often I get asked to put on the one episode or something. Like there's one or two shows we'll let them watch an episode of occasionally. I mean, very occasionally. Um, the TV's never just sitting on unless there's a big football game on, maybe, and that's mild. Um, but they basically, makes you want to just put them up on the tippy toppiest shelf and never look at them ever again, essentially. And honestly, I think that wouldn't be bad for any of us. So what Lucy and I at least have really tried to do, and I've spoken about this some for sure, is just talk about Jesus, just talk about him, make him present in the home in things that they can see, and also you know how were stories passed on for ages, just verbal, just talking. So I love it when they say, "Daddy, tell me a Jesus story," or they're my children, folks, take this for what it is, but they're on a big kick right now of "Get out of here, devil! Get out of here!" Because I have this Lenten reflection book they stumbled upon, and there's a picture of Jesus in the desert fasting for 40 days, and there's an image of Satan behind him. They're like, what is that? That's Satan. That's the devil. So I say, well, he tried to get Jesus, to listen to him, but Jesus told him to get out of here, and he got rid of him. So now they're like, "Get out of here, devil!" So you know what? There are worse things they could be saying. It's great.
Sure.
Actually, there's nothing bad about that, but them wanting to, when I change a diaper, to hold the crucifix that's on the wall just so they can hold Jesus and um, read a story about a saint or something. It's really beautiful. And there are plenty of days where I'm really disappointed in myself as a parent. But those moments certainly are always very comforting, make me feel like I'm doing something right.
I think too, a video, as we sit here and talk about the bad influence of social media, I think of a social media video your wife shared about parents being on their phones, and the gist of it. And I think if you remind me, Alex, we'll actually share this on our story so that other people can see it. But the gist of it was, kids, our generation, I guess, or older, talking about how great it was to have mom and dad's attention and the beauty of it and how it was always there and always available and the way it was designed by our Lord. And then it pivots into a talk about how something changed. And they go through all these different scenes and different stages of life for daughters and sons who are experiencing life with parents who have their phones in front of their faces all the time, and they're not present in all those important little moments. It wasn't talking about graduations or, promotions and anything that monumental and surface level. It was the minutia of every single day. But the important things for a kid, and as soon as she sent it, your wife sent it to us, I showed my wife, and now it's just on a loop in my head every time I touch my phone. And my son's 1.
Right.
Like you said, gravitating to it. You bring that thing out and let the screen light up. Or if he sees my watch face light up, that's all he wants. Like, it's terrible. And so it is 1000%, I think, the forefront of spiritual warfare battles right now.
I got one more thing to add here.
Come
on. Something that's been helpful for the younger ones with me is we've actually gone through 2 different children's Bibles that I would read to kids at bedtime. One is called, I think it's called the Jesus Storybook Bible. It's like a little square book with like great pictures, and like the story of Naaman, who was, went to go cleanse himself in the River Jordan. He was Gentile, and that was a reading not too long ago on Sunday. But one of my sons, my older sons, remembered that story from me reading it to him in the Jesus Storybook Bible. So like just reading that at bedtime. And then there's another like one for little older kids, the Illustrated Catholic Youth Bible, Children's Bible, or something like that. On that note, this is kind of a tangent, but I did not have my own Bible growing up. My parents loved me. I love my parents. They're great. But I like, and we had like a family Bible, but I didn't have my own. And I like, it hit me one day not too long ago. My kids need to have, if it's important to read the Bible, I need to give them a Bible to let them know, hey, this is important. And so you can get like it's a St. Joseph's Catholic Youth Bible, which is a little different translation, but it's okay. But like I found it, got their name engraved on it on the front. Like, this is your Bible.
That's
like
cool.
Over the top a little bit to make a point. But, that we read it together. Like we open the Bible in our home together. Like, I just feel like that is, I don't mean to be like tooting my own horn, but like that is a victory. Like,
it's very sacred too, Charlie. That I feel that even you just talking about it, everybody sitting there and doing that and going through the Word together. I mean, that you feel the weight of that. Really, you do. Have you heard about the new Word on Fire Kids Bible, the story of all stories?
Not
it's
the
like
kids one, no.
So just came out a few months ago. Ryan and I both have a copy of it. Folks, if y'all haven't seen it or heard about it, it's called The Story of All Stories. Word on Fire votive just put it out. Came out like September. But essentially it's the entire Bible, and it's written like a story. It's aimed kind of in the ages 7 to 13, 14.
Okay.
But I mean, like my 4-year-old, she can understand most of it by far. But like, it's not oversimplified where you're reading a 2-sentence page. It's like paragraphs, a full story, but beautiful illustrations. And it's very Catholic. They link like typology in it, and this from the Old Testament is linked to the New. It's really, really neat. So I highly recommend anybody checking that out.
And you can go ahead and click on the show notes on our episode here and find our Word on Fire link and support your favorite podcasters. There you go. Hopefully not your least favorite podcasters at the very least. But as Alex was saying, like, you feel how sacred that time is, I had this image of you and your whole family just pop into my head of every one of y'all just opening your Bibles and just like Jesus was just sitting on the couch with you guys. And Tess loves to play that kind of that mental prayer, that imaginative prayer. Like when she said she was doing the dishes the other day and just pictured Jesus like hanging out right next to her. And I was just, yeah, that popped into my head. But I'm horrible at imaginative prayer. But anyway, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing that you're doing with your family.
I think you're better at it than you realize, bro. Okay. So, Charlie, the Bible. Let's just take the Gospels, for instance. When I personally read the Gospels, there are times when I just think, wow, that's amazing. Jesus did this amazing thing. Other times I think, man, that really hits me hard. Like, that's challenging. That makes me uncomfortable. Like Monsignor talks about, you should be made to feel uncomfortable. And then there are other times where I think, what the heck is going on right now? I have no idea what. Yeah, I don't understand what every parable means. I just really don't. I do not. So how do you navigate that personally? And how does maybe Men on the Way help your folks do that? Talk about that a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So definitely there are like, not just in the gospel, but like also in the Old
Oh
Testament.
yeah, everywhere.
How many times have you sat in Mass during the Old Testament reading and just been like, like, I have no idea what just happened. And it's not always covered in the homily. In fact, more often than not, it's not covered because there's so much content in the gospel itself.
Sure.
But yeah, so like this Food for the Soul by Peter Kreeft, he does a really good job of just explaining things sometimes that you never would have guessed otherwise. Like I said earlier, the notes in that study Bible are huge. Like there's usually, every time you read something and you think, what in the world does that mean? There's usually a note on it in the bottom. But then, sometimes when we talk during our meetings, somebody just has an interpretation, like they kind of understand what it means for them. Or they bring something from like a past resource they've read, or, something like that. Already often it has been that the homily that we hear on the coming Sunday mentions the things that we've talked about.
Wow.
In fact, I heard once that Father Farmer may have a copy of this Food for the Soul as well. So I'm like, I know what's coming.
Yes.
Not always, though, because, he loves a good tangent.
Yeah,
yes.
Go off on his own.
But the Bible, Peter Kreeft writes in one of his reviews or summaries that it's a very special book because when you open it, you see someone looking back at you, like it really has the power to evangelize just by reading it. Like it strikes you. No other book does that. I feel like the Catechism does that, but the Catechism is based on the Bible and our tradition, oral and written tradition. So of course it would. Yeah.
So I imagine it can be fairly challenging with a group of adult men to really hone in on the message from Old Testament, letters, gospel, Psalms too. There's sometimes I'm listening to the Psalms when Father Mike is going through them, and I'm just like, granted, I'm driving most of the time, but it's hard to focus on some of them. But then I'm kind of imagining the potential difficulty of relaying these messages, some of them easy, some of them super profound, to young children. So what kind of difficulties or struggles did you ever have with that? And I know you've mentioned some good resources in children's Bibles and things like that, but how did you sort of bridge the gap? How do you continue to bridge the gap to really make sure that not only are the kids exposed to it, but they're getting a good grasp and understanding of what the Lord's saying in the scriptures?
Yeah. And that's definitely a work in progress, right? Because
sure.
I'm not sure that I'm really good at that yet. I mean, I cover these readings with my oldest too, and I have our middle child is 7, and so he's starting. I think he maybe sat in a little bit with us once. I could be making that up, but it's it's time for him to start coming on. But I think like at one point I was reading. I would maybe like read the gospel with them on a weeknight before they went to bed. The gospel for the coming Sunday to kind of like plant a seed. Hey, this is coming. You know. Um, I think it's much more effective to ask them questions about it, not to stump them, but to make them think. Because if I just tell them everything I know, how many times have you sat in a lecture, like in college, where someone stood in front of the room and told you everything they knew and you didn't retain a bit of it, right? But I'll ask them questions. So many times in the Bible, you've got, for example, Israel and Jacob. Hey, guess what? They're the same person. Right? You're laughing like you didn't know, but I'm not going to ask you if you knew.
Fair.
Um, and and that's not something that like I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's common knowledge. But man, like House of Jacob, House of Israel, like, and you don't know much about the Old Testament or the New for that matter, and you're like, what is going on? Well, if you just knew that little bit, like it would make so many things that much clearer. Which, for the record, Jacob, God changed Jacob's name um, to Israel uh, after Jacob like gets in a fight with an angel,
Right.
and and uh, and the word Israel means wrestles with God, which is like so interesting to me.
It is
Like,
very interesting.
and the word Israel and Israelite is like just embedded all throughout the Old Testament. So just knowing that little bit, man, really just enlightens a lot, a lot. So going back to what I was saying, asking them questions. All right. So hey, Daniel. Um, today's reading is about David. Who's David? Who's King David? You know, Daniel doesn't know. He makes a guess. That's all right. He thought about it. And when we talk about who David was, like David's a really important figure in the Old Testament, right? Wrote many of the Psalms. So getting them to interact with the material some. In addition to like me reading the readings with them, what we've been doing the last couple of weeks is I'll read with them on a Saturday night because we've been going to mass on Sunday at 7:45. Just a side note, there was a time for like a straight year at least where we were going to the vigil. Why? Because there's nothing wrong with going to the vigil. Why? Because our kids couldn't behave during the Sunday. Like we couldn't get up for the 7:45. There's no way we were finding a seat at the 10:30. So you're like, we're gonna go to the vigil because they were sedated and tired at the vigil, so they would fall asleep at the pew, and then we could pay attention. That's
strategy.
Yeah. So, side note, yeah. But yeah, now that we're going to 7:45 pretty regularly, I'll read with them on a Saturday night, which has really turned our Saturday night into a great evening, especially if we can devote more time to that, right? Because normally on a Saturday night, what are we doing? Somebody wants to watch a movie, so we go watch a movie, and then before you know it, like we've been pulled down some rabbit hole, and we have not focused on God that evening. When we could have done something. We could have said a rosary together. And so like, and they don't complain about that. We read the readings and it's great. Yeah. So doing that with them, interacting with them, but also in our homeschool, my wife does more than I know about. I need to spend more time talking with her about what she does to catechize them during their homeschool lessons. And that's the great thing about homeschool, right? Like, we can incorporate whatever curriculum, and so as part of that curriculum, we have catechesis, and it's wonderful, and it's taught by us, by my wife, and it's just huge for them. They don't really realize how great that is. Maybe when they grow up, they'll realize it, but they're getting that into the deep is the program that they're using. So they're getting those lessons throughout the day. So I need to find a way to like connect what she's doing with what I'm doing. It's, sometimes we're like, ship's passing.
I was going to say totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So Of course, like, the Catholic school is a great thing too, right? Like you're getting, I assume they're getting some catechesis during the Catholic school, like religion class. And so like definitely a good thing as well. So,
Did you guys always plan to homeschool the children,
yeah,
or was that something that developed?
no, we did not. My wife homeschooled some when she was younger, and all of her siblings homeschool their children, but we had just, we had started sending our kids to public school when our oldest was ready, and then our next oldest, we sent him to public school, and then, but we just made a decision when the oldest was in 5th grade to start homeschooling, um, and haven't really looked back since then. There's so many great benefits. Like, you know how many people I drop off in the morning?
You mean no car line traffic for the Wilder family?
And I've done that, right?
Y'all's neighborhood is slammed with traffic every morning.
Mhm.
Yeah. I spent many years dropping off, picking up. I know what that's like. It takes so much time,
Mm,
you know? You know, I ride my bike to work now,
good for you.
and it's an electric bike, so I'm not getting all that much exercise. But I'm door to door in 10 minutes. Like, I think the people I pass on college probably cuss me every day because they're like, there he goes again.
For real, that little spot right there is top 3 traffic at 7 o'clock in the morning and 2:30 in the afternoon. It's packed.
Yeah.
That and the school I used to work at, which is only the same kind of road. It's one lane going each way, and there's no escaping it. But yeah, I know that it's a conversation that Tess and I have visited many times, and we're years away from having to make the decision. But of course, we're not years away from introducing our kids, hopefully kids, but our son at the time, at this current time, to the images and the Bible and, the stories that they need to grow up on. I'm so blessed that I did grow up and I did have a good knowledge because I was K through 12 Catholic school. So no homeschooling for us. However, I was familiar with a lot of the stories of the Bible. Am I still familiar with them? Is a great question. I think that's a better question.
Yeah.
I think that's where a Protestant would hit me over the head with their Bible and say, like, see, you don't know it. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm fuzzy on a lot of the Bible. And that's why I love, the Father Mike recordings that not only read it to me, but help me get that little brush up. And maybe I'll get me one of these Bibles to do even more of a deep dive. But maybe I'll just go to Monday night meetings with men on the way. That would help too.
So yeah, how have your brothers in this responded? How have the men taken to it? How's it going?
Most of them keep showing up. I gotta admit, I'm a little surprised that they keep coming because I've said to myself many a time when I'm discouraged, I feel disheartened because it's hard to get guys to come out to this,
Mhm.
right? We all have a lot going on. We all have a lot of conflicts, and some of us say we're busy. And I'm not pointing fingers at you guys, but
can do it.
the word busy, like, is a very interesting thing, right? Because we can always say we're too busy to do something. But unless there's like a concrete conflict, what you're really saying is you're choosing not to devote time to something you could have
Sure.
because you're choosing other things. Maybe those other things are important. Like, I don't mean to be judging, but I do think it's very easy to say, well, I'm not going to go to the Bible study because I'm busy and I have other things going on, when you really, like, maybe you need to come out, um, and sit with us and spend some time. Like, one thing I learned from doing this Exodus, St. Michael's Lent, was that I think Jesus really appreciates you intentionally pulling some time out of your day to spend with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so the guys that come, we got about around 5 that are showing up every week. I brought a friend from out of town the other week. But some good guys coming, and we have great conversation. We support each other, um, and struggles that we face, like in being parents. You got some guys who are parents of older kids and guys who are parents of younger kids, and so, like, the older guys know what's coming. You know, and and then we share ideas about how to face the challenges of being a Catholic parent. Like there's a lot, uh, but and it is work, like um, but I look at it this way: I'm going to read these readings, whether or not I go up to the church on Monday nights at 7:30. So I go there anyway. I keep going there, and they keep showing up, and it is. I leave. My kids have said to me in the past, they say, "Dad, you're always so jazzed when you get back from this Men on the Way,"
Nice.
and I am because in all the struggles that I faced during the day and living in a culture that is very not Catholic and very just in general very distracted, and that's very disheartening. Um, to sit for an hour with these guys who care, you know, that's huge. It's very encouraging. Our reading for this Sunday, St. Paul, writing to the Romans, talks about encouragement and the need, finding encouragement in the scriptures, encouraging each other. So, which is interesting because if St. Paul is talking about the scriptures, he's talking about the Old Testament because the New Testament really wasn't written.
Sure.
Which again just legitimizes why we need to read the Old Testament too, even though it's real thick. But
Sure.
yeah. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent.
No, I appreciate that. What I feel like I hear, Charlie, is certainly we're all longing for the same thing. That is God. That being is God. He is the only thing that can fulfill us truly. And I can ramble about how the world offers us this and that, and we all know that. All these pleasures and material things. But when you actually sit with the Lord, take that time, whether it's in mass intentionally or on the way or going to an Acts retreat or spending time with your people who all take it seriously. It's very fulfilling, and I think it gives us a little taste of God's love, and it's the smallest little microdose of what eternity can be and will be. You know, so yeah, it makes sense that you go home jazzed. And, while you leave something like that or something that's time with the Lord, you leave it and you're like, that was amazing, and then it's kind of like, okay, what now? Like. So that's certainly, I'm sure, a challenge too, implementing that time every day. And, the church has readings for every single day, and I have made it a habit now to read the gospel every day, have a reflection on that. And that's how I start my day every day, even though it is on my phone. It's not the perfect way to do it, but I'm at least starting the day with the word and not Instagram or something like that, So all that just makes a ton of sense. What would you say to the dad who is like, okay, maybe I feel guilty. I've never done this before. I, don't go to mass every week. I don't know a lot about any scripture, to be honest with you, so I'm going to roll in there and they're all just going to kind of steamroll me basically with knowledge. I might feel out of place, like what encouragement and also like reassurance would you give someone like that, thinking that?
Yeah. I say you could sit next to Michael.
Yes. Brunson.
Oh man, he knows I love him, and that's why I said that.
So good.
I couldn't let it go by. But no, honestly, the words that came to me before that smarty pants comment was the Bible was written for you, like each one of us. It's a book for you to read. It's accessible, and you don't have to be afraid of it. Like, we're not in there trying to one up each other with knowledge. I mean, yeah, some of us know more than others, but we're all there to learn and grow in faith. So, and help each other as we stumble along in our paths, And so we would love to have more dads join us. And I'm so appreciative of you two for letting me be here to talk about this. because I would just love to see our very busy dads of our parish, you know, get stirred up in their hearts to want to pursue this relationship with Jesus and come out and read the Bible with us. You know, I never thought I'd be the guy sitting in this chair saying that. Like if you asked me when I was 18 or even 25, I don't know. But this is life. This is life right here in this book. And like, man, let's let's learn about it. Like it's just right there. It's words on a page. Like just gotta read it. And yeah.
I would assume, probably to make myself feel better, that I'm not the only person hearing the words that you're saying and coming to grips with the fact that the Bible, of all things, can tend to be something that is kept at arm's length, even though I'm, head over heels in my faith and in love with the Lord and trying to be a spiritual leader of my family. It's like, well, I didn't get to the scripture. I didn't listen to my episode of Father Mike, or instead of what you said, intentionally setting that time aside to spend with the Lord. And we usually wait and do challenges at the end, but that's going to be my personal challenge for sure, is instead of, oh, I have a 15-20 minute drive to work, I'm going to squeeze in my rosary. Maybe I'm going to set that alarm 30 minutes early and get up and do scripture reading with my wife instead of listening to it when I'm half focused on the road and something like that. But yeah, that's a good call out. And I know so many loved ones of mine who had that internal struggle of, well, I want to get involved and I want to learn more, but I don't want to be shamed for not knowing. And that's the enemy talking. Certainly is. And every one of those loved ones who just took that leap of faith, it's paid off 100-fold. So I can't wait. I can't commit to coming to your meetings until my sports are over.
Yeah.
But if you keep this ball rolling, I am certainly. Is my wife going to say yes to this, Alex?
Test rhymes with yes.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, I'll be a Monday night 7:30 guy.
Yeah.
You can pencil me in.
Thank you.
We need this in our parish, and more people need to know that it's there. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. We hear a lot in the scriptures about, the shepherd leaving the 99 to find the one, and the angels in heaven rejoice more over the one, sinner who repents than the 1,000 saints who are living that life. And I'm not calling anybody a sinner or a lost sheep, but all I'm saying is you feel that way, pretty much everybody who seems strong in their faith has felt that way at some point. So let the angels rejoice over you, and it's a great reason to be proud of yourself. Just like with any diet or with any exercise regimen or with any degree you're going to get, the hardest part is just getting started, but I would venture a guess, once you get your foot in the door, and I can probably speak for Charlie and the 4 or 5 other men who were with him that, come to St. Michael's on Monday at 7:30 and you join them, they're going to be happy to see you. Truly, they are. They're going to be happy to see you and be excited and welcome you. And even though I probably know multiple people there, I came and, they know I take my faith seriously. They'd be really excited to see me or Ryan too. And that's the parish we have. That's the kind of man we're sitting with right now and who's with him. And that's also the Lord we have, the God we have. So yeah, just don't be afraid, take the first step, all that good stuff. Give it a try. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I need to give a shout out to my wife who, has supported me and encouraged me to do this. And every time I would talk to her about an idea or doing, as we went along, and she would say, you need to do it. You need to,
That's amazing.
no questions asked, just you need to do it. Yes. And she supports me to go every Monday night to get up there and I have to study a bit, before I go and all that. And she puts up with me. God bless her. I have a book purchasing addiction, and so like there's one more series called Catholic Commentary on Sacred Scripture. If you really want to go deep, it's like there's a book published for every book of the Bible, its own book, and it's
Wow.
like well researched scholarship on each line of the Bible. Man, like you can't go wrong.
Oof.
I have most of the New Testament. And the Old Testament hasn't quite been published yet, I don't think, and they're all written by different authors, but some of them are people like Scott Hahn's one of them. Anyway, so like I'm building her bookshelves right now so that we can organize our house because I have too many books.
Awesome.
And
well, Scott Hahn says that Scott Hahn always says that books are like good tools to have on the shelf, so absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So shout out to Carmen. Thank you, Carmen.
We're going to have you guys over for dinner with both of our families, and maybe we'll put the kids to bed and get a babysitter. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. But again, can't wait to get to know you guys better and to get to know the men in the group. But Charlie, we usually offer up some challenges. I sort of did mine for any listeners and for us if we want to partake in them as well. We usually try to. I'm going to reflect on what I really think the word busy means in my life and apply it where it needs to be more focused on the Lord. But Alex, Charlie, whoever wants to jump in and go first, do you have any challenges, not just people in our parish, but anybody who's listening to this for the upcoming week?
Like for myself or like?
We try to do our own challenges, but you don't have to. This is for...
I have my own challenge.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. So, yep, this is for everybody listening.
Yeah.
Something to do for the next week.
Yeah. So, well, this one is, I'm going to attribute to my man, Phil. And Phil loves the liturgy of the hours, and he, I think he prays like a special, like extra deep liturgy of the hours, like the Benedictine version. I don't know. He's told me a little bit about it, but I'm like, Phil, that's deeper than I would go. Like, oh man, I'm so intimidated. Phil's motto is, I think you're not hardcore unless you live hardcore. And he is hardcore. And so, I think in honor of Phil, I think my challenge is going to be to do the evening prayer, the morning prayer and the evening prayer and the night prayer for, I've got to go out of town for at least my entire trip. I'll be gone for about 5 days and, or if we're doing the week, I'll do the week. Yes. Okay. The week, committed, locked in.
Strong, brother. That is live hardcore. All right. That's hardcore. Love it. All right, folks.
One more thing to add, which is so biblical. Like, the liturgy of the hours, like there are 3 psalms for every hour, at least the morning and evening. And some of them are psalms, but some of them are also New Testament or Old Testament readings. Mm-hmm. So you're reading the Bible while you're, all right, I'll stop now.
Scripture. It's awesome. My challenge is going to be, well, I do challenge everybody to start at least reading the daily gospel. Read it every single day. It doesn't take a long time. And it's been really, really, really good for me personally. And I think it would be really good for anybody to do. So that's not really a challenge for myself, though, because I'm already doing it. So it doesn't count. So what else could I throw in there for you folks? We're really challenging you guys this week. No pun intended there. We talked about the word busy. We're all busy, yes. We all also waste time doing aimless things. I know I do. So, like Charlie said, or what was it, you, Ryan? I don't remember who said it. One of them said it. They're both wiser than me. Jesus appreciates the time that we take to spend with him so much. So please, for the next week, take 15 minutes. Actually do it, because everybody listening knows where they could take the 15 minutes and spend it in prayer. That's my challenge. I'll need to do that too.
We appreciate everybody tuning in. Christmas is coming up. Countdown is on. All the kids are excited. It is absolute chaos at my job every day because there's zero focus left in an elementary school. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you may as well just take the month off.
Burn it down.
There's nothing left. However, if you're looking for any last minute gifts, or you got someone in the family who can't buy enough books, check out Word on Fire. We're going to throw our link in the show notes, just like we always do. Go to Word on Fire. They have incredible resources, awesome stocking stuffers, page turners, things that can last you, like Bibles like this that'll just last you forever. But definitely check them out. Also, I finally did watch Triumph of the Heart with my wife the other day, and it was exceptional. I truly, truly was moved to tears at times. If you haven't seen it, go to triumphoftheheart.com. If you want to throw our code in, the Catholic Dad Pod, you give a little kickback to us. Regardless, it's the Passion of St. Maximilian Kolbe, and it was beautifully done by our friend Anthony D'Ambrosio. So check that movie out over the holidays as well. Go to our website, CatholicDadPod.com. Maybe a stocking stuffer t-shirt. Helps out your boys here in the garage. Maybe get a space heater so our guests don't freeze their rear ends off. But God bless you all. You have all of our prayers. As always, pray for us. My sister just had a little baby boy 2 days ago. Pray for their family as well. And God bless you all.
You have our prayers. We love you. Thank you, Charlie. We love you, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It was the first time we've never had any kind of notes of any kind, because we always throw them at the camera after. Try to get it. It's a good time.
Take some shots.
I have a piece of paper. I have.
Just throw the Yeti.
Another paper.
I can't.